Now to read what is on this chart. It is called the order of hardness and compactness. Inner arrows indicate the direction of increasing hardness. Outer arrows indicate the direction of increasing softness. Hardness means degree of solidity or resistance to penetration. Hardness is the result of opposition to inertness. Therefore, the further an element is removed from the inert gas of its octave, the harder it is. The periodicity of hardness is in the order of the pressure zones, those of the first pressure zone being the softest, and of the fourth being hardest. As the elements harden, their ecliptic areas contract from maximum expansion and minimum extension in the first pressure zone to zero expansion and maximum extension on the carbon line of the fourth pressure zone. Hardness is an accumulation of time dimension transformed into power, or high potential. Carbon is the end of the cycle's inhalation. It has therefore the highest potential. From that element, exhalation begins its 5 octaves of lowering and rising potential in alternate sequence. And now back to reading this chapter concerning energy. Just as various energies are appropriated by man in accordance with his desire, so are varying energies absorbed by varying particles of matter. Just as a dynamo generates power to perform work, so does every mass generate it. Just as the work accomplished by man or by a dynamo is proportionate to his or its ability to generate a dimension of energy sufficient for the work desired, so is the work produced by a mass proportionate to its desire. Every light unit, atomic system, planet, or sun either performs its work by the energy which it generates, and by so doing makes its progress through the system in the orderly manner, keeping ever in the progressive current, or it degenerates and gets into the opposite flowing stream and retrogresses. It is as characteristic for mass to resist its evolution as it is for man to do so. The desire for the easier way is as strong in one as it is in the other. The lines of least resistance are those which lead back to the magnetic stream of inertia. The pace in the electric stream is swift and hard. Every inch of progress must be earned by the hard work necessary to overcome the inertia of the previous inch. Every inch earned must be stabilized by erecting opposing pressure walls to prevent losing the ground gained. The law of the universe of motion is generate or degenerate, and this applies to every particle in the universe as pitilessly as it does to man. The variable power within matter to perform work or to attract other matter should be taken into consideration in the concepts and laws of gravitation. Gravitation is an expression of energy, and its power is variable. Like all effects of motion, it has its periodicity, which is not controlled by distance, time, mass, nor any other one dimension, but by the ability of a mass to accumulate electric potential. The periodicities of gravitation and radiation are in conformity with the ratios of the formula of the locked potentials. Every chemical element has a varying power of action and reaction according to the pressure and plane position which its desire to accumulate potential has earned for it in its wave of energy. There is no variation of the constant of energy, even though the appearance of variability is everywhere about us. The appearance of variability of the universal constant is again a matter of dimension, of potential, which in its turn is a matter of position acquired by work. The energy which runs the universe might be likened and to the energy which runs a clock. There is but one force back of the mechanics of a clock, and the dimensions of that force are exactly balanced in every wheel. One wheel races very fast, another may seem to stand still. A big, slow-moving wheel turns the hands which the little wheel could not move. The little wheel, however, uses the exact amount of energy in its speed-time dimension that the big wheel uses in the power-time dimension which it has accumulated and exchanged for speed. The little wheel is fast and weak, while the big wheel is slow and powerful. The deer is swift and weak, while the elephant is ponderously slow and powerful. The energy of the former would exactly equal the energy of the latter if the low potential energy of fast speed-time dimension were transferred to the high potential energy of slow power-time dimension. Power is increased mass, increased contraction, pressure, decreased volume, decelerated rotation, and accelerated revolution. The generation of all energy is accomplished only through the resistance exerted against the direction of the force of any established motion. Resistance to established motion decelerates the speed-time dimension of motion and accumulates potential by accelerating its power-time dimension. X in power-time dimension is the square root of x in speed-time distance area dimension, and its cube root in volume. If the deer desired more power to flight, he would acquire it at the sacrifice of ability to cover. If the deer desired more power to fight, he could acquire it at the sacrifice of ability to cover distance quickly. The speed of the deer is the result of the desire of the deer for speed. If the speed-time dimension of the deer were transformed to power-time dimension, it would be very massive and slow. It would be a creature of different form because of a desire for a different form. If the energy of the power-time dimension of a speeding bullet were transformed to mass, the bullet would have to weigh several hundred pounds. Or if the same activity were transformed to volume, it would have to be expanded to several hundreds of feet in diameter. Consider, for example, the relative power-time dimension of a light unit circling in its atomic orbit, probably 30 million times per second, as compared with the 11 years consumed by Jupiter in making one revolution in the atom which we call our solar system. The light unit may cover more than 100,000 miles per second against Jupiter's 8 miles, but the area of the orbit covered by each is exactly equal for equal intervals of time. More than this, the very difference in speed of revolution of a light unit or of a planet, due to the eccentricity of their orbits, is also balanced in the areas covered. Force must be resisted in order to accumulate it into power. To accumulate power is to generate energy by exchanging one time dimension for the other. The high-speed, low-power gear wheel of a motor transmission moves slowly while the wheels of the car race very fast. On the contrary, the low-speed, high-power gear wheel moves very fast and the wheels of the car move very slowly. The high speed-time dimension of the long end of a lever is exactly balanced in the slow speed accumulated power-time dimension of the short end. Move the fulcrum and both time dimensions change with increase or decrease of power.